Aloha, welcome to the Live Ukulele Podcast. My name is Brad Bordessa. In this episode, I'm talking to Kris Fuchigami, who's one of my peers out here on Big Island. He lives in Hilo. We kind of came up around the same time, started playing ukulele around the same time, and while I just kind of did my thing, Kris really put in the hours to become a very technically able ukulele player, one of the most accomplished as far as just technical playing goes, really just a sight to see, but is also a wonderful composer and arranger, and he's just been fun to watch over the years and to kind of cross paths with. We've never talked as much as we have in this episode, but it was really nice to be able to create that connection here. Hope you folks enjoy it. Before we do that, I want to remind you that the Live Ukulele podcast is listener supported. So if you like what you hear, go check out liveukulele.com and take advantage of my ukulele learning resources over there. There is all kinds of stuff you can check out, from my ebooks to my video courses to all of the free downloads that I provide. And I would really love to correspond with you every once in a while, once a month, maybe twice a month, via email. If you want to sign up for my newsletter list, you can find a link to that on the Live Ukulele homepage. Or if you want to get something cool in exchange for giving me your email address, I'll put a link in the podcast description. You can check out one of my resources like the Ukulele Scales Collection. I can't remember if that's actually what I call it or not, but it's a PDF bundle that has fretboard maps of all the ukulele scales you could ever possibly want to look at. It's a great reference, especially if you're interested in playing a little bit more outside sorts of sounds, but also just that main major scale PDF is going to be super useful if you're learning the fretboard, learning how to solo, learning to navigate the neck. And that's one of those things where you punch in your email address, then I send you the PDF. You get transferred there, you can download that, and I'll stay in touch every once in a while with some email updates about what I'm doing and also different podcast episodes that I publish. So hopefully it's a win-win. Hope you'll check it out. Like I said, I'll put a link in the podcast description for you to click on or copy paste, or however that works with podcast descriptions. Let's get right to it. This is Kris Fuchigami, joined by his mom Keiko on the keyboard. Enjoy. I'm kind of curious, what are you up to these days? I mean, we're both on Big Island, but is there that much going on that you're staying busy playing music full time, or what do you do?
Oh, yeah. So there's not that much that we're doing on the Big Island, but because as you know, there's not many places to perform. Like if you go to Waikiki or something like that, it's just loaded with hotels. But over here, you have like a handful of hotels that you can pick from, and because there's so many musicians here, they kind of just took over that whole circuit. So yeah, we've been busy traveling and performing outside of Hawaii and doing some gigs here and there in Hawaii. But aside from music, I've been really busy with my two sons. My first son is turning 2 next month, and my second son just turned 4 months. So I've been pretty busy with them.
Nice. So are you playing music full time, kind of?
No, so I play. I perform a lot, but then I also have a full-time job, just to provide health insurance and stuff for the two boys and for my wife.
Right. Of course.
Nice.
So,
are you performing? Are you performing a lot?
Nah, not too much. Maybe once a week at best, but it's enough.
Where do you perform?
Keep it interesting. A couple of different farmers markets up here on the Hamakua coast. Playing Waimea every once in a while at that farmers market, and then Hamakua Harvest down in Honoka'a, and then starting to get my kind of party band back together and play some more like up-tempo stuff, but we're just really getting our feet in the door, trying to make connections and just, get that interest locally, because we just want to be able to play at graduation parties or whatever.
And I think the last time I saw you was probably 2019 at the Roisa Kuma Ukulele Festival, Waikoloa.
I think it was 2020. It was like the last thing before COVID. Yeah. It was like the next week. It was like, well, that's it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. We always cross paths, just trading the stage kind of on the backstage there. But have you heard anything about that? Is that ever coming back?
So I was just in contact with them. They're going to be bringing it back next March on a smaller scale. So it's going to, instead of having multiple stages at the Queen's Marketplace, I think it's just going to be one under the pavilion and then possibly one at the King shops.
Oh, cool. Well, nice to know that it's not forever done.
Yeah.
Are you teaching much? Do you do Zoom stuff, or is it
So we were
workshops?
teaching, but then it kind of died after while COVID was going on, and I tried to pick it back up, but the ukulele shop that I used to teach at, which was Hilo Ukulele and Guitar, they closed down as well, kind of due to the pandemic. So that my main teaching spot disappeared, and we tried online for a while, but it's just not the same as being in person and being able to be hands on with your students. So as of now, I'm not really teaching that much, but looking to pick up back in the future.
Nice. You want to do that locally?
Yeah, definitely. Or if we're doing workshops on the road, I love doing those as well. It's just so much more fun when you're in person, and they get a whole better experience when you're right there able to teach them.
Right. Yeah. Do you have any venues that you prefer as far as being in Hilo? I mean, what does the Hilo ukulele scene look like?
Right now, the ukulele scene in Hilo is kind of just events here and there. So we have one coming up, the Hilo Hawaiian Music Festival held at the Hilo Civic. That's always a great place to play. It's just a big area to host any concert but basically that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much ukulele related things going on this side of the island, which is kind of why we tried to which is why we made my ukulele contest to kind of just spark things here in Hilo, because I remember when we were growing up, there were a lot more ukulele contests and a lot more like workshops and stuff being given around town, and all of a sudden they kind of just disappeared. Like I remember Benny Chong, Byron Yasui, and Brittany doing a workshop at the Nanilo Hotel.
Boy, that was a while back.
Yeah, a long time ago.
I
And then
remember
all
that.
of a sudden it just all disappeared. And I remember James Hill coming down to Hilo Guitars and just had all these great things going on for the ukulele. So slowly trying to bring those things back for the new generation to enjoy.
Nice. And so do you see, is there an interest in playing? There's just not learning opportunities, or is there just less interest?
Yeah, I think there's just a lack of opportunities for the kids to get out there. I mean, they have like the Waikea intermediate ukulele band out here and stuff like that. But then aside from there, if the kids want to pursue and take their skills to the next level, and not just that, but just find places for them to perform as well, it's just not open for them at the moment. So I think because that happens, they kind of stray away from ukulele and hey, maybe there's something else that I can pick up. So the goal is to just bring it back full swing over here, and actually just for the Big Island in general, and just have ukulele be just a big part of the community again.
Right. It's a great place for it. Yeah, connecting the dots is always the trick, right? So you have your mom with you. Hi, Auntie. How did you get started, and what was kind of your mom's involvement with your musical journey? Because I know she plays with you all the time. Was there kind of a mentorship? Did you learn together? What's going on there?
Yeah, so when I was, I think, like 7 or 8 years old, she was trying to train me on the piano, and she did this for my older brother and older sister too, and they kind of picked up on it. But for me, when she put me on the piano and was trying to teach me how to read music, it was just like, to me at the time, was the most boring thing in the world, and it's the thing that I wanted to do the least. So after just a while of doing that, I just totally fell away with it. And I think that had a lot to do with why I resented music so much from age 8 to 13. I just didn't even want to hear it because being put in front of that piano and kind of being forced to do something that I didn't want to do, I just didn't want to hear music at all. And it wasn't until when I was 13 when I started to when I was home for the summer. So this was my mom is from Japan, and she goes home to visit her family every couple of years, and this was my turn to stay home with my dad. And so I was pretty much didn't have anything to do, totally bored, and I started digging through my toy box and found this beat up $8 Walmart ukulele, and that's kind of how we got into this whole ukulele thing.
Nice. And so what was your progression on the instrument? Did you start, I mean, where we all jump in at a different point and have different people we idolize and aspire to be at that stage. Who was that for you, and what were you playing right off the bat?
Yeah, so when I took the ukulele out, I had zero experience, and so I remember my music teacher, because we had band class in like 7th grade, and I remember the music teacher talking about a guy named Jake Shimbukuro, and so I looked him up on the internet. And there was no YouTube at the time, so it was just pretty much on his official website. And for the first time in my life, I heard the ukulele being played in rock style, and I was just so drawn to it that I asked my dad to buy me his album. Sunday Morning at the time was his only album out, and there's a song on there called Toastmaker's Revenge, and it's just a full out rock ukulele song. And I remember listening to it, and then picking at the ukulele, and I found that I was able to pick apart what he was doing. Without this being the first day I'm playing ukulele, I was able to pick apart what he was doing, and by the end of the day I had kind of mastered that song just from listening to it. And I just remember my head just blowing up and thinking, like, I'm the man. Like, I've got to be the greatest ukulele player to live. There's nobody else doing this. And so yeah, that was kind of the beginning point of my ukulele. It was just a ton of pride for a lot of years and a lot of mud rubbed in my face.
And so what are some of the mud moments? I'm curious. We all have them.
So when I started playing, and then when my mom was in Japan, I would be every time I'd master a song, I was mastering pretty much a song a day, and I would go on the phone at nighttime and play for her. And because she was so amazed by it, I was like, that's like giving me reassurance that, yeah, I am the man, and this is like a legend is being born in this room right now, because this God-given talent is just exploding. And so I took about a year to build up a massive arsenal of all these Jake Shimbukuro songs. And after that year, I told myself, I got to start entering some ukulele contests, because I got to start just smashing some people. I got to show them what this is all about. And so I entered my first ukulele contest. It was the Hilo JC's Jumping Flea ukulele contest at the county fair. And I remember just going back there thinking, man, I was just pinpointing each person. You're horrible. That song is going to get you nowhere. You guys don't know what's about to hit you. And so I played just this crazy fast song, and I ended up losing that contest. And you'd think that losing a contest as a kid, it would kind of humble them. But to me, I was like, I think this was rigged. There's no way possible that I could lose this contest. Did you see what I just played? And so I thought it was rigged. I dropped the contest for about another year, and again started building up the arsenal even bigger. And then when I was about 15 years old, there was another contest going on at the Lani House Center in Kona. And I remember going there and just thinking the exact same thing, that you guys all don't have a chance. You don't know what's about to hit you today. And I went up there, I played Stars and Stripes Forever, which is another crazy fast song, Jake Shimbukuro version. And ended up tying for last place. I didn't even get last place to myself. I tied for last place with a 6-year-old girl that was dancing hula and singing and playing the ukulele. And so it's just stuff like that. And then after that contest finished, I told myself I'm never entering another ukulele contest, because these things are just so rigged that it's just not fair to people as great as me. And so then I went to high school, and they were offering ukulele classes there. And I remember going there, hearing the teacher play, and thinking, man, this guy is horrible. I can teach this class better than he can teach this class. And because of that, I stopped showing up to class. I stopped doing my homework. I stopped doing showing up for tests because it's just way too easy. And I ended up failing ukulele class and dropping from there because I didn't agree with my failing grade. And I went to band class thinking, this is where all the real musicians are at, not that ukulele stuff. This is where all the top dogs are at. And so I went there thinking that I was just gonna use my God-given gift to just wow everyone. And they slapped the music sheet in front of me, and I was just totally out of it. I didn't know what was going on. I ended up dropping the my band class and just signing up for weight training class because I just totally had given up with music in that high school era. But just things like that and so many different things, so many other things down the road that just constantly kept rubbing mud in my face. But that's a message that we like to share with a lot of people. A lot of the performances that we do is just that those things are probably needed to shape you into the person that you should be in order to receive those blessings that you're searching for. And I believe that if all that mud wasn't rubbed in my face over and over and over for years and years, that I would just be a horrible person, not just a big-headed ukulele player, but just a horrible person in general.
Well, you seem to have you seem to look back on it and have a good sense of humor about it. Were there people along the way that kind of mentored you as far as, I don't know, the understanding of where you sit and the responsibility of the musician to like approach things and be humble and kind of fit into, I guess, the craft and the art of being a musician? How did you make that transition from being, big head ukulele player to where you're at now, where you can look back and laugh at it?
Well, I had a ukulele teacher. His name was Joe Marquand, and he used to teach at Hilo Ukulele and Guitar, Hilo Guitar, sorry. And but his was more so helping me transcribe Jake Shimabukuro songs that were too hard for me to listen on my own, and because I was so quiet growing up, nobody knew that I was thinking all these horrible things about everyone else. So although my attitude was this hot-headed, super prideful kid, if you actually just took a look at me, I just look like I'm thinking of nothing. And so I'm just sitting there, just judging everyone. But in actuality, they really couldn't tell. So I don't think I got any mentorship. I mean, from my mom, I was always being told to humble myself, because she's one of the only ones that knew what was going on in my head. And but I think the change that came was just from constant failures. Like I would. So this is a story that I haven't told anyone. Actually, I don't think I've ever mentioned this in one of the interviews. But so I had gone to perform at the Reno Ukulele Festival. So this was the first time doing something kind of on the bigger side. This was 2009, and I remember going there because up until that point I was just performing at a coffee shop in Hilo called Kope Kope, and that's what I thought my music life was going to be, was just performing at that coffee shop every week for 2 hours. And so we went to the Reno Ukulele Festival, and that was the first time that I ever felt like accepted by the audience, and just everybody was so in awe of what was going on, that we were playing. And it just struck with me again, like, man, I am the greatest. And I went home thinking, look, like I remember going back to my day job thinking, man, why am I with these people? It's like, I was just the king back there, and then now I'm back here, and I'm just working in this warehouse with a bunch of these regular dudes. What am I doing here? And so I went on for about a week or two with that mindset, and then we had a gig 2 weeks later at the Mauna Kea Visitor Center. And I just remember thinking, man, I can't wait to show all these people what I got. And when we went there, there was a ton of seats set up throughout the place, and there was only one person sitting down, and the other person that was there was the cashier. And I just remember thinking, okay, it's time to tone it down. And I've learned my lesson. It was just things like that, and I'm not kidding. Like, it just happened over and over and over. I would have the ultimate highs, and then nobody would be showing up at any gigs, especially like when I was playing at the coffee shop. Every time I'll do something on the bigger side, then I'll come back to Hilo and I'll perform at the coffee shop on that Thursday, and there'll be absolutely nobody there, and it just would bring me back to earth. So it was just that pattern over and over for years that kind of made me transition to, I'm probably not that great.
Well, on that note, you're all set up. Would you like to share a song?
Okay, so this first song is one that is just one of my favorites from the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Here is Pure Imagination.
Wow, that's very cool. That's such an interesting song to choose to pull onto the ukulele. It's like, that's very much not like Toastmaker's Revenge. What is your approach for creating that sound on the instrument? I mean, how do you go from like a movie score to that?
What do you mean by that?
Well, what is, I mean, obviously it wasn't originally played on ukulele, so what is your process for taking the melody and all the different orchestrated parts and capturing them all on one instrument?
Yeah, so usually when I'm picking a song, it's usually a song that I've heard at work. And because I'm there for 8 or 9 hours a day, they have a ton of oldies playing all day long. For those people that don't know, I work at KTA Superstores in Hilo, in the warehouse. And so I'm listening to these different songs all day. And because I can't have my ukulele at the time that I'm working, while I'm listening to the song, as soon as I hear a song that I really have interest in, I'm already trying to pick apart, what part am I going to be playing, and what string is the melody going to be played on, and just breaking the song down so that by the time that I get home, because I have all these other things going on with my children, I have to really use my time wisely. So as soon as I get home, everything that I mapped out in my head, there's no time wasted. It's time to just get it all out there, jot it down, and make sure that everything that I was thinking is correct. So that's pretty much how I go about transcribing these different songs, and song choice is just all done in my mind first.
Wow.
And then practice comes. Practice is usually like half an hour to an hour of trying to make sure that everything is going correctly. And once I get this done, melody wise and whatever chording that I'm going to use, then the next day I'll bring it to my mom and let her listen to me play it, and then we start to figure out the arrangement for her parts there. So it's just a bunch of random, I guess, thoughts that are just going out throughout the day to put together this full arrangement.
So do you have perfect pitch? I mean, are you hearing the chord voicings as you're playing it in your head?
I don't think I have perfect pitch, but I can, if I just think of what the, I guess what string sounds like what. So if I think of the A string, I can, if I think of the A string alone, I cannot tell you that it's an A. But if I think of G, C, E, A, and I play those in order, then I can kind of pick apart, what key is the song really in. Yeah.
Interesting. I took like my only real music theory class I ever took in college. The lady had us every class she would choose one person from the room to go out into the hall, and she would bang a tuning fork for them and to reference, and they would have to like think ahead of time, okay, what is my pitch? How close can I get to an A pitch? And you hold it in your head and hold it in your head, and then you go out in the hall and you sing the note for her, and then she checks you with the tuning fork. And it was really, really interesting to hear how people did and how close you could, even if you didn't have the perfect pitch, how close you could get to really just kind of knowing in your head what that is going to sound like. And I've never done any of this. They used to have those CDs where you like train your ear, right? and listen, get perfect pitch in 10 days or whatever. But yeah, being able to hear that on the instrument is a whole nother trick, and it's amazing that you're doing so much of it before you even get to an instrument.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of like mathematical calculations, like as you were saying, even if you don't have perfect pitch. In my head, I'm just trying to like just figure out, okay, it's on the A string, the melody's on the A string, okay, what fret is it on? And you're just going down half step, half step, half step, trying to figure out what is the correct note that the song that the key that the song is in. So for me, it's just a lot of math, a big mathematical procedure before even hitting the ukulele.
And so how much do you have to adjust when you get home and you pick it up? Are you usually pretty spot on, or?
I usually get it pretty spot on. Sometimes maybe I'm a little flat, but then majority of the time it's just right there, and it's just getting home is just fine tuning everything.
Wow, that's really cool. Nice. And so what kind of music are you playing these days? Are you still writing your own stuff? Have you released anything recently, or?
Yeah, so I do a lot of composing, but when I compose, it's more so like if something happens in my life or something in my past that I think it's funny, then I'll make a song about it. But that's just basically what we've been doing, is making a lot of originals based off life stories. And but majority of the covers that we're coming up with is based off of things that I hear at work. But more so we've been leaning towards covers because the ukulele audience is also when you're trying to come up with stuff to play at a performance, you always know that they kind of lean more towards things that are familiar. So we're trying to do oldies by bringing in some new stuff and then putting in specks of original music. So yeah, a lot of cover tunes lately.
Okay. And so I guess that begs the question, who is in charge of the music at the KTA warehouse? Is that you?
Oh, no. So they have a a general station that they have that they play for all the KTA stores. So if you're hearing something in Waimea or Kona, it's playing also at Hilo.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so they just tune into this oldies station. I have no clue what radio station they're on.
Okay. It just seems like that's, out of all things, that to hear that song in the warehouse is a very obscure thing, because people are usually rocking out in those kind of gigs, it seems like.
In the warehouse, it's pretty grungy, and you have all these like muscle men, and then you hear Willy Wonka's coming on. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. So do you have any kind of travel teaching coming up, workshop, ukulele festival things?
So nothing towards teaching, but we have. So we're going to be at the weekend. This weekend, we're going to be at the Nahoku Hanohano Awards.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the song that I wrote for my son, it's called "Always Be There." That got nominated for instrumental composition this year, so we're gonna be there, see how that does there, and then we just got a request to play at the. They're bringing the ukulele festival back on Oahu, because Roy Sakuma, I think he made it to the 50th anniversary, and then they called it quits there. So somebody else is trying to bring back an ukulele festival, summer ukulele festival. So we just got the call for that. So we'll be there in July. I'm guessing this probably their first annual ukulele festival. But we just have a bunch of stuff going on, and then in the midst of all that, we're trying to figure out where we're going to host this year's 11th annual ukulele contest. We're kind of looking, it might be at the Prince Hill Plaza like usual, but we're also looking at the Queens Marketplace as another option to hold this year's ukulele contest.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Have you done it since COVID, or is this the first time?
Last year was the 10th, and
Oh, okay.
that was the first time we went back to the Prince Hill Plaza, but it was a little different. I mean, at that time, people were still kind of skeptical about being going out and about, but slowly by slowly it's picking up. So hopefully this year we'll have a bigger turnout, and not just the audience, but the contestants. They were afraid to get up and go back out in public. So kind of struggled a little bit to get contestants like in numbers, but yeah, hopefully this year will pick up a little bit more.
Nice. And so you hold this. What for you as kind of being down the road of having been there, done that with some of this stuff? What do you try and encourage the youngsters to learn and to achieve by participating in the contest? What do you envision for them?
For this contest, the reason why we started it wasn't for like the competitive nature of it. It's more so to give all these ukulele players, young and old, just a chance to shine. And I know that there's like we were saying before, there's so many people that put so much time and effort into this instrument, and when they don't see any reward whatsoever, or any form of compliment or anything, it starts like anything else. It just starts to get old, and they start to like think, what? Maybe I should just do something else. And we don't. Our mission was to do away with that and just every year give them something to look forward to, something where they can practice, and shine at the end of the year. Whether you win or lose, to us, it doesn't really matter. We just want you to gain that confidence and going on stage and just have something really positive to look forward to. And not just for the competitors, but just for the community as well. It's just something so lighthearted and fun to witness. And yeah, so when we go up there, we don't really stress like, oh man, you gotta have stage presence, and you gotta have this killer technique to win. It's just you go out there and you play your heart out, and win or lose, we're all still winning.
Right. Nice. Well, it's very cool that you do that. Do you have dates yet?
So we usually hold a contest on the first Saturday of November. So we're looking at doing November 4th for this year.
November 4th. Cool. And where can folks find out about it as it comes together?
They on my on my social media, it's Instagram, Facebook, any of that / Kris Fuchigami. But yeah, we this year possibly Queens or the Prince Hill Plaza, and the third option, because of the pandemic, we held the 2 years of the pandemic online, and we found that there was such a big interest in that worldwide, and so that's another option, just to give again all the ukulele players from around the world an opportunity. And everybody's so excited when something like that comes around, that they can showcase their talent. So yeah, KrisFuchigami.com or any of my social medias will keep you updated there.
Nice. Very cool. Well, we got a little bit of time left. What is on the horizon for you? What's next? What are you working on?
So we're stuck in this. We're trying to record a full album, but we don't know what route to take after. So I've been talking about this with like Kale, Andrew Kitakis from Hawaii Music Supply, and just a bunch of the other ukulele players. And the music industry is just in this blind spot where you don't know after you release an album, the CD route is not there anymore. And we just got like a email from CD Baby and Disc Makers saying that they're not going to be printing out CDs anymore. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, we're trying to figure out like what is the next step for music. Like when people come to your performances, they want to buy a CD so that you can sign an autograph or just something to listen to. But nowadays, nobody has a CD player. My car doesn't even have a CD player, and so they're doing away with it. And I also saw a post by Ryatea Helm, and she's asking the audience, what should we do next? I mean, if you put it on Spotify or something like that, everybody has the music already, so what should you even bring to the gig? And we're talking about like a jump drive or something like that, but people don't want to buy a jump drive from you. So yeah, we're trying to do an album. We're doing our next album, working on the next album, but yeah, stuck in the midst of what to do with the album once it's done recording. You have any thoughts on that?
Oh, gosh. That's like if you could come up with the answer for that, you'd win the whole industry, I think. No, I don't know. I've got 900 CDs under my bed, and it's just like,
Yeah.
what do you even do
Those
with
are all
them?
collectibles now.
Yeah, not so much value though when there's 900 of them. I don't know. I've often thought about that because there's like always the want to create the music and to create the album, but there's not really. It's not so much a product anymore.
Yeah.
Because we all just give it away anyways, right? It's not going to get heard unless you just kind of give it away. So like what becomes the product? And I don't know, but I can imagine it's super frustrating, especially if you're in the midst of really trying to put a project together.
And people are saying like, oh, vinyls do well, but even those, like, it's good to as something to bring home from somebody's concert, but then what will you do with it after that?
Right.
So yeah.
T-shirts, hats. I guess maybe you can program the hat to play a song. So I was kind of letting all that process through and thinking about the question of, producing an album and not being able to really get CDs or sell CDs anymore. It sure seems like more than ever the artist has become the product. And so along those lines, is it because going to a show used to be that you go to the show and that's great and you get your fee, but then on top of that, the bonus was you always have your merch and your CDs and you sell the ice chest of CDs or whatever. It's, grew up listening to stories of Uncle George, selling a whole ice chest of CDs. That was the dream. and without that, do you find with what you're doing that there is any kind of increase in the fee that you can charge to kind of compensate?
Oh, that's a hard one because we don't want to make it to a point where it's not affordable for the customer.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think that if we do run, actually we are going to run out of CDs, and when that point comes, it's just we'll just be performing and we'll figure out something for them to take home, because even if they're not buying it to listen to it, just something for them to take home to kind of show that I was there at this point in time. It's just something that's special to the audience member. So once the CDs run out, yeah, we just got to start thinking.
Are you following James Hill's project with the UKEDS thing?
Oh no, what is that?
It's really interesting. He kind of jumped into that right when the NFT thing was really kind of banging. But then he moved away from it. But basically he sold an NFT, but it was a ticket to participate in his newest album. And so people sent in recordings of themselves playing along with these parts that he kind of arranged and created parts for everybody to play as a group. And then people submitted their recordings and they became part of the album. And so that was kind of like, that was his way of crowdfunding it, but also creating a community around it. It's really interesting. I talked to him on the podcast about it a while back. But it's something to look up, because I don't know if it's working right the way that maybe we in an accessible way for all of us to jump on that same bandwagon, but it's so outside of the box that it's interesting to kind of see how somebody on the fringe tried to do something that different. And so basically he's got this group of people and everybody has a unique uKid that it's a piece of artwork that they own, but it also is like a ticket to special events and a way to be included in kind of the James Hill brand. But it's just something that comes to mind.
The NFT is just digital artwork, right? It's not physical. It's all digital.
Yeah, it's the non-fungible token, I think I got a nerdy friend who's all into that. I don't really super get it, but it's mostly digital. Yeah, once you have it, you're welcome to print it out however you want, put it on a t-shirt.
That's cool though that James is always thinking out of the box, and he's just such a amazing person and crazy ukulele player. So yeah, James is awesome.
He's the brain on the front line for sure. He's trying everything out. But that might be something to look into just for inspiration for something weird, different that might be interesting. Well, thanks so much for sitting down and joining me today. Do you want to leave us with one more song if you feel like sharing?
Well, yeah, thank you for having us. We had a little when was it? 2 weeks ago?
Something like that.
Yeah, both of my sons got really sick, and one of them ended up we went to the hospital just to check out what was wrong with him because he was kind of really suffering. But now we're here today and just having a lot of fun, just talking stories. And yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Of course.
But this last song, or actually it's the second song, second but last song, is just one that really helped change the course of my entire career. And when I was a senior in high school, I was just thinking, I was putting all my chips on, I'm going to be a rock star. I don't need to do any of this studying, any homework, nothing, because I'm banking on the fact that I'm going to be a rock star as soon as I graduate. And as soon as I graduated, it didn't happen at all. I went straight to working a full-time job at the warehouse. And I just remember putting Gatorade on the shelf, this box of Gatorade, and just thinking, what happened? I was supposed to be this rock star, and now I'm putting these boxes on a shelf. What is totally different from what I thought, and so a few weeks passed, and I was just waiting for somebody to contact me and tell me, we got this record label for you, and you're going to be a mega star, and nothing happened. And so I took it upon myself, and my dad helped me as well, and we started going through the newspaper, looking for places to perform, and that's where we found the Kope Kope coffee shop. And so they're holding auditions for a 2-hour performance. And so we auditioned for the part, and we got the part. And I just remember thinking, this is after weeks of having, probably a month or 2 months of just having absolutely no performances. This is probably going to be the pinnacle of my career. And I'm going to be performing here at Kope Kope every Thursday for 2 hours for $40. And this is it. This is life. And after doing that for a few years, then a friend of mine, John Yamasato, reached out to us, and he asked, why don't you come down? What do you think about coming down and recording a video with High Sessions? And at the time, I was looking at the videos and just being so amazed at this totally high definition videos, and I thought to myself, it'll be good to have something like that I can show my family that I didn't fail, that I have this thing that is so high quality, and I did something. And so we started scheduling that, and also at the same time I was conversing with Andrew Kitakis at Hawaii Music Supply, and we had scheduled a video with them as well, because they just have like hundreds of thousands of dollars in cameras and just make you look better than you actually look in person. But,
oh yes.
So we went there, did the High Sessions at the Hawaii Music Supply, and recorded "Can't Take My Eyes Off You," Europa, and a bunch of originals. And to me, after finished recording it, and it was released, I was so amazed. I showed my family. I was so proud to show them that I didn't totally fail. I have this little work of art that I was working on, and showed it to them, and that was it. And I just thought, okay, we did that. Now go on with my warehouse career and my coffee shop career. And so I went there, and we just continued on with regular life. And after about a week of the video being out, I started getting these random emails saying, "Oh, we just saw your video and it was amazing." And so I checked the video, and to my surprise, it was at like 10,000 views after the first week, and after the first month it was at 50,000. It just started climbing 100,000 and into the millions. And because of these videos, it just totally changed the course of my entire career. And I started getting all these different emails and offers to fly us out to different ukulele festivals and different places to perform. And due to these videos, I was just able to travel the world and play music. And what I had thought was the pinnacle of my career, which was the coffee shop, was just the really slow start to my entire music career. And so really thankful to these to Europa and to Can't Take My Eyes Off You, which Can't Take My Eyes Off You is what is the song that we're going to finish off with today. And like I was saying earlier, the message that I'd like to share with everybody is just to set a goal for yourself and go for it 100%. And like I was sharing, that all that ukulele contest that I lost and was so prideful about losing. I was so prideful about losing, and then failing in high school and a ton of things after that. But all those things, like we were saying earlier, is necessary to shape you into the person that you should be to receive the blessings that you desire. So that's my message to everyone, is just to never give up and just keep pushing forward, because if you put in the time and you just keep working hard, promise you that it's gonna happen for you. And so that's the message that we want to share with everyone. And thank you again for having us. And here is Can't Take My Eyes Off You.
right on. I think the playing speaks for itself. It's always been a super privilege and a joy to watch Kris play. As maybe we kind of alluded to in the interview, I always ended up at the Waikoloa Ukulele Festival for a number of years. I ended up playing the set right after Kris. So Kris would come on and just balls to the walls, blast it out of the park with all of his amazing playing. And then I would come on and, you know, as far as ukulele players go, we're probably kind of close to polar opposites because, you know, he's really like got the technical mastery down, and I kind of went like, I don't need that a long time ago. So, you know, I'm kind of like less on the technical mastery side and just focus on kind of songwriting and singing and presenting things in a more simple way, just because that's the world that I'm limited into by my chops. And so it was always funny that, you know, here's Kris just like, you know, really, really nailing it, playing impeccably with just these perfect chops. And then I come on and do whatever the heck I do on stage afterwards. But always good fun to cross paths with him. And certainly want to mahalo him and his mom, Keiko, for taking the time to jump on the podcast. Hopefully we can do it again soon. Hilo is only an hour away, but that's pretty far when you live on the Big Island because we don't tend to like to drive anywhere. At least I don't tend to like to drive anywhere. Anyways, you folks can find out more about Kris's music and what he's up to at krisfuchigami.com. I'll put a link in the podcast description. And be sure to check out his social media stuff, which appears to be a little bit more active maybe than the website if you want to stay up to date on what's happening with his ukulele contest, which is coming up in November. Looking forward to that. That'll be cool. Try and make it out to whatever venue they decide on for that. Go check it out in person for the first time. I've never actually been to watch, but that would be a fun thing to go do. Yeah, check out his music. He's got a couple of CDs. You know, get them before they're gone, because once they're gone, there's not going to be any more. I didn't realize that disc makers and CD Baby had decided that they're done printing CDs. That's kind of crazy. But it makes sense, because even a lot of the musicians that I was hanging out with at Uncle George's workshop, you know, big name guys, they were having a hard time moving CDs as well. They've definitely seen that decline in the industry. Anyways, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll be back here with the Live Ukulele podcast on another first or third Saturday of the month. Please go check out liveukulele.com. Sign up for my newsletter list. We'll be in touch. Until then, keep on jamming. Spread the word, spread the joy. Hui ho.